Excel is broad, and again, there are a lot of things we can learn in Excel. I want to assume that we've gone beyond the basics. So we just chose some things to look at in Excel. Remember, this session is essential workplace skill tools that we are looking at, and in this first class we'll be looking at how to use Excel to do some things. So we've chosen these 5 things to look at into this class in Excel. Now, Excel is beyond this. There are a whole lot of things on Excel that one can learn. And I know that a 2-hour class will not go to learn everything that we need to learn. But we've just chosen some important ones. So we'll start with the what if analysis. The what if analysis can be found, okay, just a rundown on Excel. In Excel, this is just for those who are very new to Excel. In Excel, Excel arranges data in cells. You have this is a cell A1, B1, C1. So this is a table. This can be, you have column A table is made up of rows and columns. Column A, B, C, D, E. So as I click on the column header, it selects the whole column. Column B, column C, D, E. Then we have our row headers, row 1, 2, 3, 4. Please make sure you are on your Excel sheet, because at some point I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will have you share your screen to show me what you've done. Okay, so now this is a sheet. You would see the outline sheet. If I click on this, it moves to another sheet. So you can move from sheet to sheet. Then you can add a new sheet by clicking on this plus sign to add a new sheet. So we are still on the outline. Then what again? Here, just like in every Microsoft Office suite, all their products, you have your file menu, and you have the other tabs. So if I click on file, it takes me to this view. But if I click on the other tabs, like I have my home tab, I have some things I can use here on my home tab. The insert tab, page layout, formulas, data, review, view. Okay, so going straight to what we have for today, what we are looking at this morning is the what if analysis. Why do we use the what if analysis? Okay, so let's go um to the worksheet that we assigned for what if analysis. There is nothing in there, so we are going to create our own data. And what if can be found here. If you go to data, what if analysis is here. Okay, just a little overview of the what if analysis. What if analysis is the process of changing the values in cells to see how those changes will affect the outcome of formulas on the worksheet. We have 3 types of what if analysis tools. We have the scenario, the goal seek, and then the data table. If I click on the goal seek, if when we start and what I am saying better. So first of all, let's create what we are going to use for this analysis. Okay, what analysis. Price, quantity. So we want the price of a product. Let's say we are selling a product at $32, and then we have 100 of it. Okay, so what's our revenue? Maybe I should zoom so that you can see my screen better. And I sell in Nigeria. So the price of each one is $32. Let me format this to um, currency. 32 100 pieces. That's I sell this at $32. That's what I mean. And then I imported 100 pieces of Bluetooth keyboard. Then what's my total revenue? I mean, how much do I make in selling all of this? So it's be equal to this times this. Please feel free to stop me and ask me any question. I don't want to assume that all of us are very conversant with what I'm doing. Feel free to ask questions. You can type in your questions in the chat box. You can just ask your question. Then transport cost, assuming that to get it into Nigeria, I have to pay $320. And then each of the keyboards, the item cost, um, assuming each keyboard costs $22. Okay, so this item cost is going to be the cost of the keyboard, which is $22 times the quantity, 100 pieces. So, and then I'm paying custom, let's say $350 custom duty. So, what's my total cost? Will be transport cost plus item cost plus custom duty. I can just highlight this and click on auto sum. It gives me the total cost. I want to format this as currency in dollars. So I have it in this format. Then what is my profit? My profit is going to be total revenue minus total cost. Remember, this portion deals with how much I'm selling it in the market. Then this portion deals with how much I bought it and all the other. So my profit is going to be equal to my revenue minus my cost. So I have this. I'm going to kind of try to format what I have so that it looks better. So I'm going to merge and center this. Um, Let me apply border to my work. Um, okay, inside here I want another type of border. Assuming I use this line style and then select everything and see all borders. Okay. If somebody said he's using an Android phone. For this, you can't do this on an Android phone. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you can actually, but it's going to be difficult. It's easier to do this on a computer than on an Android phone. Okay, so I don't expect you to do the formatting. Okay, somebody say I think Google Sheet should do. Yeah, you can do it on Google Sheet, but it's going to be faster working on a system than on a phone. So you can switch to Google Sheet. I've just set up what I want to use for the analysis. So let's get into doing the analysis proper. So if I go to data, I go to what if analysis. Remember I said we have three kind of what if analysis we can use to explore our data. We can use the scenario manager, goal seek and data table. So in this class we just focus on the first two so that we'll have time to look at the other things we have to do. So the scenario manager, um okay, in this we are going to create different scenarios. Remember we are asking questions. What if this scenario plays out? What's going to happen if you have this scenario? What's going to happen if you have another scenario? Okay, so now I'm going to add a scenario. Let's call it maybe the current scenario. Current scenario. Okay. Now, on what basis are we doing this? We want to see what our profit is going to be, what our profit will be if the quantity changes. For instance, if the quantity increases to a certain value or decreases to a certain value, what's going to be happening if our quantity increases or decreases? If there is a change. So we just want to retain our current scenario. What cell is changing? um I'm going to select the cell. This is the cell that is changing. Now you can select a group of cells. For this example, it's just a cell that we're going to select. Then comment. You can just put in any comment that you wish. Let me just say the current case. Okay, so enter values for each of the changing cells. So if I'm going to leave the quantity to still remain 100 because it's just the current case. Add. Okay, sorry, cancel. Okay, then I want to create another scenario, maybe optimistic scenario.
Sorry, ma'am.
This time around,
Typing.
I want to be optimistic. I'm looking at if our the quantity increases a lot. um I'm just being positive. Okay, so what if the value changes, the quantity changes to, let's say, 200? We increase our quantity to 200.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry,
Yes, go ahead.
you're typing something, but we're not seeing it.
Oh.
Yes. So we are kind of lost.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and then I'll share my entire screen. Maybe that's why. Stop
Okay,
sharing.
okay, okay.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, yes, you can see it now.
Okay. So in the add, I went to add, I created a current scenario. The cell that is changing, I selected this C4 that contains a quantity to be the cell that is changing. Then my comment, I entered that this is the current case I have. Okay. Then it says enter the value for the changing cells. I just retained it as 100. Then for the optimistic scenario, the scenario name, I just gave it this name. You can give it any name. The cell that is changing is still the quantity, this one. And then the value of the changing cell, assuming it changes from 100 to 200, so I entered a new value as 200. Okay. Then I want to add a third scenario, the pessimistic scenario. Yeah, the cell that is changing is still the quantity. My comment, just any comment you do. Let's say worst case. So what's the value of the worst case? Assuming instead of importing 100 pieces, we decide to import 40 pieces. Okay. So if I'm done with this, um anyone I select, for instance, if I click on current scenario and click on show, my data still remains as it is, nothing changed. Now if I come here again and click on optimistic scenario, you see what happens. The quantity has changed from 100 to 200, and the profit I'm going to make is $1,330. In the current scenario show, my profit is just $330. In the optimistic scenario, when my quantity increases from 100 to 200, my profit is $1,330. Then if I click on the pessimistic scenario show, now I'm having a loss of minus $270. Can you see how it is changing depending on the scenario that you choose? We can also have a summary of this. If I click on summary, your summary can be presented as a scenario summary or scenario pivot table report. So assuming we select the first one, scenario summary. Now it has generated a summary for us. Let me increase this. Changing cells C4 and result cell C10. um Current value, so it's showing the current value. Let me show what I mean by current value. What we are seeing now is the current value that is being shown. So that's what we have here as current values. Then current, remember we created three scenarios: current scenario, optimistic and pessimistic. So current scenario, when the quantity is 100, the profit is $330. Then when the quantity is 200, the profit is this, and when the quantity is 40. So from this, we know that there is a certain amount of quantity. We can't go beyond a certain amount of quantity. Now if we have 40 keyboards, we are going to be at loss. So then this is not well defined. I'm going to delete this. Okay, I'm going to rename this. Instead of C4, remember here it's showing us C4. Instead of C4 here, I'm going to rename this to quantity. Then instead of C10, I'm just going to rename this to profit. So if I do my summary again, see, it shows me this as quantity and profit, rather than, sorry, rather than showing me as C4 and C10. So this is more, this is a better explanation. Quantity, when the quantity is 100, when it's 200, when it's 40, and then the profit at those quantities. Are we clear? Please, I need a response from you.
Sorry, ma, please, how did you generate this summary scenario?
Yes, yes,
No,
that's
ma.
summary scenario that we are lost. Like, how did you generate it, ma? I'm
Okay,
lost.
okay. Any other questions? So I'll answer all of them together. Okay, so I went back to my scenario manager. I clicked on summary. You can see this summary, and then I just said, okay, my report time is scenario summary. If you select scenario pivot table report, it's going to give you a pivot table summary report. So, but I prefer this, so I selected this. This is just the default one, and then I say okay. It generates this summary for me. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do yours. Yeah, I think the class is being recorded, so you would have it. Okay, so remember, the reason why I'm having it at this value is because the pessimistic scenario is what is selected. If I click on current scenario, it shows my current case. Optimistic, it shows this. Pessimistic, it shows the scenario, change the data entirely. Okay, so let's look at the goal seek. Um, the goal seek. In the goal seek, we have a goal. For instance, assuming we want to make a profit of, let's say, $1,000. What are we profit of $1,000? Maybe we are looking at changing the quantity of what we are going to import. You can change quantity. You can decide to change your price. At what price are you going to arrive at a profit of $1,000? So we by changing cell. Okay. Okay, so now my this cell C10, my profit cell has changed to $1,000. I've set it to $1,000. It means that I have to increase my quantity to 167 wireless keyboards for me to make a profit of $1,000. Okay, if I want to take it back to what it was before, I can just undo. It takes it back to what it was before. Okay, so what of assuming I don't want to change my quantity, what I want to change is price. At what price am I going to sell 100 pieces of wireless keyboard to generate a profit of $1,000? I still go back to my goal seek. Um this time around, the cell I'm changing is the price. So I select this. To what value? Oh no, no. What I want to change is not this, it's still my profit. My profit, I want to make a profit of $1,000 by changing the price. Okay, okay. So if I change my price from $32, you missed it.
Partially, ma.
Okay, just tell me where you missed it so I'll take it again. I don't mind going back.
Ma, I've been trying to tell you that I'm lost. Like from that scenario manager, I'm at the what if analysis and I'm trying to add scenario naming and all that. So I did not get that piece.
Okay, I've taken note of what you said on that. What about other people? I want to hear from them. Okay, because this is being recorded, if I go back, us back a little, my suggestion to you is just follow what we are doing. For instance, assuming you missed the what if analysis, when you watch the video, you are going to get it. So now we are going to be moving from the what if analysis to the VLOOKUP. With it to start, let's move to the VLOOKUP. Just quickly move to the VLOOKUP, and I need you to just pay attention to this so that you get it once and for all. So for this, I'm going to ask random questions and people to get it. Okay, so for the VLOOKUP, this one is also very simple. Why do we use VLOOKUP? What's the purpose of VLOOKUP? Um, so you use VLOOKUP when you need to find things in a table or a range by row. For example, you want to look up the price of an number of, for instance, okay, let me give a better definition of what VLOOKUP is used for. And you want something in a book, you can go to the content, and then you know that maybe you are looking for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis from the index is found on page 48. So that index helps you to just go straight to page 48 to find what you're looking for on photosynthesis. So that's what VLOOKUP does for you. Maybe again you go to a library, you are looking for a book, let's say Rumpelstiltskin, and the back page the catalog section info. So that's what VLOOKUP does for us also. Um, so to look at the, we are just going to look at it in okay. Somebody is asking what time the class is. The person already. Me, am I looking for? I want, if I type in an employee ID, it gives me the name of the employee. So equal to V lookup. Now it accepts four arguments. The first one is the lookup value. Now for this, I want, if I type in something here, page 7. Okay, now I can type in my lookup value to be, let's say, 1511. This is what I picked from here. But I want this to be interactive. I mean, I want the Excel sheet to be interactive. I don't want it to be static. So instead of entering in a specific employee ID, I can just select this empty cell because I want to type in the employee ID into that cell. Then it's asking for a table array. I'm going to select this because what I'm looking for is containing this array. I mean, from B3 to cell F14. That's where the data is contained. Then the next argument is the column index. What do you mean by column index? This is column index 1. This is column index 3, column index 4. Remember, what we want is, if we type in an employee ID, it will give us the employee's name. So since this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to type in 2 as a column index number. Then range lookup. If we want an exact match, we select false. If we want an approximate match, you know what approximately means. But if we want it to be exactly that number, we select false. So I'm going to select false, close my bracket, enter. So now it's telling me not available. Why? Because this is empty. So assuming I enter in, let's say, 53700, it tells me that um Margaret Margaret has the employee ID of 53700. If I change this to, let's say, 56815, you see what it gives me. Is it clear to us?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Okay,
Yes, ma.
Mercy, please go ahead and
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
your question. Okay. Okay, so there are some questions here for you to try out. What's the name of employee ID 5? So you see, what I have here is, the data is not much. Imagine you have a lot of data and then you have to look up something. To look up here, it's pretty easy because you have just few rows of data. But when you have over, let's say, 5,000 rows of data and you are looking for something, you can easily use VLOOKUP to get whatever you are looking for. Okay, so these questions are just for us to try our hand. Did you try doing this on your worksheet? I hope you did. Okay, so let's go to the next one, conditional formatting. Am I free to move to the next time to this? Okay, so let's move ahead. Conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is used to make patterns, trends in your data to be more apparent. You can list on, for instance, say format greater than a particular number. Okay, somebody's hand is up. Please go ahead and ask your question. Mercy, you raised your hand. Please ask your question, Mercy. If you are talking, you are muted in case you're asking a question. Okay, Mercy Salifu, you raised your hand. Okay, we'll keep going. Feel free to interrupt me and ask your question. Oh, yeah, her microphone is muted. Okay, so going to for conditional formatting, where do we find conditional formatting? If we go to home, here, conditional formatting is here. So we have different conditional formatting options. Highlight cell and to maybe text that contains a certain value, a date occurring within a particular time. You can also highlight duplicate values. You also have top, bottom is a very essential tool, especially in creating new rules that may not be included in what you have here. So I gave us some work to do here. Here says highlight all dates after October 6, highlight all grades above average, highlight all the duplicate names, highlight all cells greater than the median of the range. This is pretty simple. Um, okay, so let me go to a worksheet. So I can come here, so I can select this conditional formatting, duplicate values. It's duplicate. So if I select this conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, duplicate values. So I can see it has highlighted the duplicate values. Format cells that contain duplicate values with and change. Maybe if I want green fill, I can change it. Okay, increase my worksheet. So I can choose and delete this John. You see the other John, is no longer highlighted. If I bring back this John, John is highlighted. If I delete this John, John is no longer highlighted. So we can use conditional formatting to do a lot of things. Here we have highlight all grades above average. You can highlight this conditional formatting. um Coming to top bottom rows, you can see above average, so it calculates the average for you, and then highlights the cells that are above average for you. Okay, so this data I have, I wish I have a better data for this. I mean data in table for this, so that we would see how the spreadsheet was shared before the class, so that you not just listen, you'll be working along, because this is a hands-on class. Okay, so assuming you want to clear all these things, you can highlight this clear rules. You can clear rule from selected cells. You can clear rules from entire sheet. So let me clear from selected cells. It clears the rules for me. Remember, you can also create your own rule. You can create a new rule. Okay, so then let's look at the next item. Let's see what we have as the next item. Okay, we want to look at how to use charts and functions to analyze. So observing trends. You know what a trend is. We use this data, the game sales, to observe trends. We want to do a kind of trend analysis. Total sales on okay. So new rule. I'm using a formula equal to. So I'm looking at the total sales. I'm just going to use G1. So assuming I want, if the value in G1, not just G1, I'm looking at the whole of column G. Just don't mind that I wrote G1 is greater than what value? Let's say the value is greater than, let's say, $170,000, greater than or equal to 170,000. Okay, how to use font fill? Which fill color do I want to use? Let's assume a purple fill color. You can choose a pattern. If you are using a pattern, you can choose a pattern style, but I'm using a fill, purple fill. Effect variants, but I don't want to use fill effects. You can choose, but I'm okay with. So okay. Oh, so it's showing me A1 rather than price. New row. So I'm using a formula G1 1,000 $170,000. Okay, so it has formatted it for me. I'm sorry. I selected the whole stuff instead of, but this is not correct too. This is not greater than or equal to $170,000. Let me look at my rule again and see what's to manage rules. Given something that is not very accurate in this, I'm going to go back and look at it again. Okay, coming to game sales, we want to look at a kind of trend analysis. We want to be able to forecast trends and showing months from January to December, the number of items sold, and the amount of money earned from selling those items. Okay, so we can just present this graphically. Let me zoom so that it's going to be more visible. Um, I'm going to highlight this. I've highlighted my earnings. Press and hold your control key to highlight month. Why are we doing this? We don't need to show the total items sold per month. We just want to view our earnings and the month. So I've successfully inserted a line chart here. Let me give you a minute to do the same. What are we pressing to select only the two? Okay, so I'll delete this. In Excel, I press and hold my control key, and so I can highlight this portion as well as highlight this portion. So what I did was to highlight the earnings. I pressed and held down control key. Then you go to insert, um click on the line. So you've inserted the line chart. Okay, so remember, we want to see how to, by clicking on this, you can forecast. Maybe you want to forecast for 5 periods in the future. Okay, so you can see the forecast. So it keeps going like this. You can also forecast backward, but I've checked this my data. If I forecast backward, is display your equation on the chart. So it's based on this equation that it generated this trend line. I don't want to display these things. Okay, so assuming we don't want to use this, I'm going to delete this. We want to manually do our trend forecast. There is a formula in Excel that allows you to do your trend forecast manually. Trend. I can see this trend option. This accepts an array. So it's going to forecast based on this earnings. Highlighted. Now usually you press your what now enter, so I close this bracket, but so we are forecasting for all of these cells, so I'm going to highlight all these cells at the same time, then enter my equal to sign, trend, and then select this. So instead of just pressing enter, I'm going to press Control Shift and enter. Okay, please redo it again. All right. So I highlighted the whole of this, equal to trends. To what do I do? What do I use here? Let me insert the text box. Shapes. I'm going to select. I'm going to do what? I'm going to use Control plus Shift plus Enter when I finish selecting what should be in the trend within this. So first of all, I'm going to highlight the whole of this because I'm forecasting for all these cells, not just for one cell. After I'm done, so that it's there everywhere. Okay. Oye Bamiji, please ask your question.
Yeah. Good day, Mrs. Chisholm. Now, so can we type it instead of using the key, the shortcut? That's my own question. And if you are using Mac, I noticed that Control Shift Enter is not working for me. So I think I will use Google to search that one. I will use
Okay.
Google to look for that. But what I'm looking at is, can we type that kind of C3 to something? Will it work that way too?
Yes, it will. It will.
Yeah, thank you.
C2 to C13, it will. So in the formula bar, this is it here. Okay, so assuming C2 to, sorry, C2 to C13. It also works that way. Oh, I'm trying to change the part of an array and it's refusing. So yeah, you can type C2 to C13. It works that way.
Sorry, can I have the question?
Yeah, please go ahead, Bello.
What if we have a very large number of rows? So how do we select the last row alongside with it? I don't think you will get my question.
Okay, that's why we can type. Equal to trend. Now, you know the first row assuming the first row is C2 to the last row, let's say C3000, you can type it in manually. It just highlights it for you. But this time around, we are using C13. So just take note of the first cell, the address of the first cell and the address of the last cell, and then type it in manually. Oh, sorry. It does the work for you. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, this trend forecast is for what's now the linear forecast. Then the growth forecast is exponential. Remember when we looked at um the chart we did previously, we saw linear, exponential, logarithmic, and the rest of them, moving average. So growth forecast still the same way. There is a formula in Excel for growth forecast. You just type an exponential growth trend. So the same way, but remember, we are looking at the forecast for from, let me see. Okay, Idris, please ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. On the trend forecasts,
Yes.
after selecting the cells for the trend forecasts, I inserted the formula to get the values, but I'm getting for the first answer only. That's
Okay.
10564. The other cells are not showing. I don't know why.
The reason why you are getting for only one cell is because you didn't highlight. Let me delete this. You didn't highlight the whole.
I left cells before doing that.
Please just repeat again. So I've highlighted the whole cells, my trend, this is my range, control shift enter. It does it for me. So just try to repeat it again. Okay, so assuming you've done that, we want to go ahead and do what now? We want to go ahead and create our line chart. So I've highlighted, I don't want the total items sold to appear in the chart. That's why it's not part of what was highlighted. So I'll go back to my insert line chart. I choose this. So you see, I have my chart. It's showing the earnings, it's showing the trend forecast, and it's showing the growth forecast. So we wanted to do this manually. We didn't want to do it the previous way we did it. So, okay. So are we good? Just give me a thumbs up if you're good. Thank you.
Shannon is correlating with what I have. No, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So the next item we have is to look at pivot tables. Going to use this data for pivot tables. Let me see. Can we use customer data? What do we have here? Can we use the sales data? Let me clear this. Okay, so let's start with using this for pivot tables. Let's first examine our data. So we have data here: gender, age, state, geopolitical zone, area in which somebody lives, marital status, education level. Okay, um, before we get okay, so we want to. Why do we use pivot tables? We use pivot tables to generate reports, to kind of analyze our data in a different way. So we can use it to calculate, summarize, analyze data. It lets you see comparisons, patterns, trends in your data. Okay, so what do we do now? This is the data we want to use for our pivot table. Before we do that, I usually like to format this as table. So I'm going to format this data as table. Even though you can do it, you can create a pivot table without formatting your data as table. But it's good to format your data as table. It's also good not to have empty things. So let me just go ahead and format this as table. Click anywhere within this. Then in your home tab, you can come to this place, format as table. Even insert, you can insert table, but let's just use format as table. Format as table. You select the style you want. I want to use this style. So where is your data table? My table is contained in A1 to G 1029. Yes, 1929. I know it's going to be correct, so I don't need to confirm. My table has headers. Yes. So these are the headers: gender, age, state. So I make sure I check this and I say okay. So it has formatted this data as table. Let me just look down and be sure. Okay. So we want to insert pivot table. But before we do that, let's look at, I didn't include it, but let's look at inserting slicers. What's the purpose of slicers? Slicers are used to kind of format your data, filter your data visually. So if I click on slicer, it's going to show me all my headings, the gender, the age, state, geopolitical zone. All these things I'm seeing are headings. So assuming I want to filter based on gender, let's say age, marital status, and let's say geopolitical zone. Okay, so I've inserted 4 slicers. Let me kind of arrange this. What's your marital status? What's your age? What's your gender? Oh, geopolitical zone. Maybe I should just bring you to this place instead. Okay, so what can we do with these slicers? We want to see who are married. Can you see? So it's showing me 18 to 19 married. Let's say we want to check, select female. So this shows us we can even now because you can't find them in any of these geopolitical zones. That only they can only be found in the northwest and in the southwest. Okay, I can clear this 20 to 24 male married. Let's say we want in the north central only one person within the ages of 20 to 24. If we check northeast, so we have more males in the northwest who are married within that age range. Okay, so this is the function of slicers. You can use slicers for in different ways. This is how you use slicers. I know you can select more than one option because of the version of Microsoft Office I'm using. I have only this. If you are using a more recent version, you are going to have an icon here that allows you to select more options. Maybe if you are using Office 365 or Office 2019, maybe 2016 too contains that. Okay, so you can clear filter by clicking on this. So sliders are very good. You can use it to narrow down and just get things beyond sorting and filtering. You know, you can use sort and filter, but okay. I guess you so so clicking on what again you choose the data you want to use an external data source. So assuming I've not formatted this as a table, I'm going to select the range. But because I formatted it as table, it automatically picks the table for me. So table 1 is correct. Choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. Is it in a new worksheet or existing worksheet? Um, I usually like in this is what I have. So the data is in or my pivot table is just like this. It's now for me to what I'm seeing here. These are my headers, the gender, age, state. So how do I want this data arranged? How do I want this data displayed? So the things I want to show as rows, I'm going to put them here. The things I want to arrange in columns, I'm going to put them here. If I want to use a filter, I'm going to put the filter here. If I want to show values of something, I'm going to put the information that you want from it. We also have pivot charts. For instance, from this now, you can just go straight and create your chart showing you okay, this clustered column is okay, gives us information we need. So we can see count of education level, bachelor's degree, so I'm going to delete this chart. And this data, you can just analyze it in any way that you desire. If I uncheck this, everything goes. Assuming we want to know the number of states or all the states, the count of people from each state. So in Abia, we have 99. The highest number of participants, we had more people from Abia State than from State. Okay, we can decide to filter by geopolitical zones. So we've selected states, we want to filter by geopolitical zones. We have all, maybe we want to show only people from the north central, only states from the north central. So it shows us, the filtering allows us to be able to filter out the data we have the filter procedure list. So it gives us the people that fill the survey from the southeast. So pivot table allows us to be able to do different things with the data we have. Okay, so now I'm going to give room for us to ask questions and to play around with the data and see what we can generate from it. To ask questions, is this clear? Please give me a thumbs up if this is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so it's feedback time. Ask your questions, please. Is there something that is not clear? Is there something that you want me to go over again? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can get comments. Yeah, somebody's hand is up. Please go ahead. Oye Bamiji, please
Yeah,
ask your question.
yeah. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. So I am requesting if there is going to be, if we are going to get the data for, so that we can analyze this on our part, because I would love to watch this video again because I didn't start earlier with, at the beginning of the program. So I would love to watch it over because I didn't really get the way you got your data. So I would love to have the data so that I can practice the same way you have done it.
Okay, so I'm going to, in response to that, I'm going to point you to the data. The data is on the group. So I'm going to point you to the data immediately so that
Okay,
you
thank
can
you.
practice with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Um, Next question, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. Please, if you have a dynamic data, does the pivot table also get updated automatically?
Sorry, I didn't get that, please.
If you have a dynamic data, they have to maybe you have to um, input some values from my raw data. So does the pivot table automatically get updated or have to start all over again?
I think you have to rerun it again.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to check. Okay. Next question. Somebody's hand is still okay. No other hand is up.
Um,
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
the what if analysis. I think we are going to get the recording and check through again. But I think I don't know if I'm the one that missed out on the V lookup.
Okay. VLOOKUP, what if analysis. Okay, we still have some time left, so we can kind of go through some things if you really want us to go back to, let's say, what if analysis and maybe VLOOKUP. So do we go over what if analysis again? What do you think? Please let me get your responses.
Yes, what if analysis, like many of us miss it. Maybe I'm just looking at it from my own perspective anyway.
Okay, you are not very audible. I didn't hear you well. But let me share my screen again and go for share. Okay, what if analysis. Let me just go through this what if analysis in, let's say, 5 minutes. I said in what if analysis, you are kind of um forecasting what if this happens, what is going to happen, what if this happens, what's going to happen. So you find that in data, what if analysis, we have the scenario manager, goal seek, and the data table. We just looked at the first two. So looking at the scenario manager, we want to create different scenarios and look at what happens if this happens. So we can go to what if analysis scenario manager. Let me just delete all these scenarios I have, delete, so that everything is fresh. Okay, so I'm going to add a new scenario. I can call it any name I want. Let's say first scenario. So what do we want to look at? Changing cells. Assuming the quantity changes, assuming quantity changes, um so yeah, we've selected, sorry, assuming this changes. Okay, what happens? Changes from what to what? Let's say it changes to, let's say, 150, 150 units of wireless keyboard. Okay. Then if I click on show, one scenario, but it's good to use very descriptive scenario names, just like I used previously. So, which cell is changing? Yes, this cell. So assuming it changes, okay, to what? If it changes to, let's say, 50 units of keyboard, the quantity is 50. Okay, so now the next scenario is okay, so profit with 50. If I click on first scenario and click on show, it shows me the profit when the quantity is 150. Remember, the second scenario is when the profit, when the quantity is 150. I can actually edit this, maybe change the and then this, I'm just trying to be more descriptive. Quantity of 50. Oh no, I changed this. Edit and then edit quantity of 50. Maybe quantity of, let's say, 20. When the quantity is 20, okay. And then I want to add another scenario, quantity of 100. This is the standard. Quantity. Now, if I click on this and click on show, it shows what's to happen when the quantity is 150. If I click on this show, when the quantity is 50, the profit is 165. Quantity of 20, when the quantity is 20, we have a profit of minus, this is a loss. Then when the quantity is 100, show, we have a profit of $1,000. Now we can decide to summarize, we can decide to view a summary of this. So if I click on summary, scenario summary, okay, so it shows me this in a summary format. That it summarizes this for me. So when the quantity is 150, this is your profit. When the quantity is 50, this is your profit. When the quantity is 20, you have a loss. When the quantity is 100, you have a profit of $1,000. Then again, we looked at the goal seek. In the goal seek, we want to set a particular cell to a particular value by changing the value of another cell. So assuming we want to check what quantity we are going to import for us to have a profit of, let's say, this, or at what quantity are we going to import for us to kind of, if our profit is going to be zero, no profit, no loss. So let's see the marginal quantity we can import. So set value, we want to set the profit value to zero. by changing the quantity. Now the quantity is here, so I select it. Okay. So if we are importing 40 pieces of wireless keyboard, then we'll have a profit of, that's, we make no profit, we make no loss. So for us in this business, we go 40 pieces of wireless keyboard. Remember, for this you are looking at our revenue, our profit for importing wireless keyboard. So assuming we import 40 pieces, we are not making any profit, we are not making any loss. So we can't go beyond 40, we can go above 40. If we change this quantity, let's say to 50, yes, we make this profit. But once it's 40, we 40 point something, from the analysis we did, we got 40.199, let's say 40.2. So we can't go below 40 in this analysis. So this is on the what if analysis. Just manager and go seek. There is also the data table um analysis that we can do. Then on the VLOOKUP, just quickly on the VLOOKUP before our time elapses. Um, on the VLOOKUP, we say the VLOOKUP works like an index. We want to, we have a lot of things somewhere, we have a lot of data, we just want to place a particular there is also a formula for VLOOKUP, equal to VLOOKUP what value, so it accepts 4 arguments, but sometimes we want it to be dynamic. So we just want to, let's assume the value we want to look up will be in this cell. We just um type in something in cell G7 for it to look it up and give us the value. Then where is the data contained? Is requesting for a table array. So the data is contained within this range, B3 to F14. We enter in the array. Then what's the column index number? What are we looking for actually? We are looking for arranged differently. For instance, if you kind of um if you now invert this so that the columns will become the row and the rows become the column. So anything unclear? Okay. So in the absence of any other question, I think we can call it a day. You're welcome, Ashir. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for your reactions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.